Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 1, Lesson 2, which is about making our economic choices. These choices all deal with the idea of scarcity. The question that I'd like you to think about as we're going through, and you're going to answer at the end of this little mini lecture, is how would the value of medicine be influenced by different parts of scarcity? Meaning that if we had something happen, maybe a natural disaster, a war, or an economic turn down, how would we change our availability of medicine, and how would you as a person react to it? So the first thing to say is, what do all societies face with the problem of scarcity? The economy is first made up of two different groups. You have producers and you have consumers. Producers are the people who make the items, and consumers are the ones who use or consume those items. Producers, for instance, use the factors of production, which is land, labor, and capital. Entrepreneurs also are part of these producer groups, and they're the people who create their different products. So when you look at these factors of productions, again, the four main parts, the first thing to talk about is land, and that's gifts of nature. You can think of it like things like physical land itself or the resources that come from that land. Second idea is labor. It's people with their ability and effort. Labor could be a physical term whenever you talk about somebody who's using physical labor to solve a problem, or it also could be a mental thought, meaning somebody who uses their brain to solve a problem. Capital in this sense is also about tools or equipment that are used in order to create a product. So you think about the whole idea of Henry Ford and the assembly line. The assembly line machinery that was used would be the tool that was able to create the cars or part of the car process. And finally, entrepreneurs are the people who are the risk takers in this group, are the ones who invest money to try to solve the problem and create a new industry. Some things to think about is land does not just include the earth, but also minerals and oil deposits, livestock, and climate conditions. Capital includes the tools, equipment, and machinery, and the factories that are used to produce those goods and services. And labor includes efforts, abilities, and skills of all the people except the entrepreneurs. And the entrepreneurs are the risk takers who start that new business or bring a new product to the market. So we're going to talk about this whole idea of a production possibility curve. And this is sometimes called the frontier. It's conditions of output where all goods are used effectively to create or to solve a problem. In the book, on page number 16, you have this curve. This is economists use the production possibilities curve, sometimes called that frontier, to illustrate all the possible combinations of an outcome. A production possibilities curve is a diagram that represents various combinations of goods and services an economy can produce when all resources are used effectively. In this example, a mythological country is called Alpha, and it produces two different types of goods. You have cars on this side and clothing on this side. Even though Alpha produces only two goods, the country has a number of alternatives available to it, which is why the figure is called a production's possibilities frontier. Hence the word possibilities. Which is why for example, we could use all of the resources to produce 70 cars units or 300 units of clothing, meaning that if we put all of our goods, everything that we have to build, we could create 70 cars and at the same time 300 levels or units of clothing. And we're on that outside production possibility, meaning like out here where D is, it's physically impossible because we don't have enough products to create those different types of things. We could also shift down here where we use more of the products to create more clothing. And so if we make 100 more units of clothing, we can make less in cars. So we go from 80 to 40. So the value of those last 40 cars is 100 units of clothing. I'll give you some more example of that in class after this lecture. The other part here we're going to talk about is the opportunity cost. And the opportunity cost is the value of the next best alternative used. This could be something like money, time, or resources. When you make a choice, my best example I'll say for opportunity cost is you made a decision today to get out of bed and come to school. The opportunity cost is you're no longer in home sleeping, but you're here and you're trying to make an education for yourself to better yourself. That is the opportunity. So you made your choice to come to school. The opportunity cost, what you gave up, was your ability to sit in bed and sleep. When we talk about opportunity costs and we talk about this production possibilities curve, I'm going to do a little bit of a class example now, and we're going to talk about steaks and lobsters at the restaurant and how those different things come together to create different combinations, meaning what can we do to make the most people happy with making the most profit for ourselves. And that's going to be a class activity, just having a few seconds. So if you can, please go to your next worksheet, and I want you to answer this question here, but we'll lead our discussion before we start, which again is, how would the value of medicine be influenced by its scarcity?